All right, everybody. I have Joshua Lance here for our Artist Spotlight of October. Welcome, Joshua.
Hi, thank you, Chandra. Is I saying it
You did
right?
it perfect. Yeah, the second time was perfect. Chandra. Yep.
Chandra.
Yep.
Chandra.
Yep. That's
Okay, thanks.
Um,
Okay.
so I just wanted to let everybody know this is our first Artist Spotlight of our Awaken Artist newsletter, and I'm super excited to have Joshua here. So we'll just kind of leave it a little bit open. What I want is just to be able to have creative people that are following our newsletter or artists that are maybe just starting out or in the different levels of their creativity
Mhm.
and see if they can maybe get some information from us and help them move to the next level. So, why don't you just tell us a little bit of where you're from and how long you have been doing art and all that fun stuff?
Okay, well, where I'm from actually is where I live right now in Lambertville, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yes, I've actually since I was we go way back, like since I was born, we moved around all the time. I I've led a nomadic life without really even trying. Really, it's basically moved from New Jersey to Arizona, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New Mexico,
Wow.
Pennsylvania, and well, okay. And then once I hit my 40s, then I decided to teach English overseas. So I lived in Asia, and then I lived in Portugal, and then I came back here last year. So I'm back in Lambertville, which is where I grew up. So
Wonderful.
you
Wonderful.
yeah.
So, did you, so are you like kind of doing art as like fun, or do you have it as a part-time income, or are you doing this full-time?
Oh, I'm doing it full time. I'm
Okay.
I've always been quite serious. It's always been a full time venture for me, and
Okay.
even when I worked in the past for like full time jobs, I've always worked as many hours as I could, and so I've always felt like I've always taken it very seriously as a profession, and because that's ultimately that's what I want to do, and to become a full time artist, and so that's and not just that, but just to make a living at it. So that'll be my my only job,
Okay.
and that's what I'm working towards. And currently, I mean, I'm still teaching. I'm still teaching English, but I'm doing it online. So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
so that's what's helped supporting me. But I'm also at the same time I'm selling my work. It's just I have to get it caught up. So it's come
Right.
back to the U.S. I've been almost starting from scratch. I've been outdoors working with people and painting outdoors and kind of developing my fan base and
Okay.
and my reputation again here. So it's
Okay.
yeah.
Wonderful. So, was it always on your heart that, well, I guess I should ask first, like,
Mhm.
was there a transition there for you where you were like, I want to do art full time, and then you kind of jumped into it, or was it always,
was
I want to,
always it was
okay,
always full time. To me, that was my goal.
okay.
That's always there was
And
never any other option.
okay,
It,
wonderful.
yeah,
That's awesome because like I feel like some people are really they feel like that's what they want to do, and then it just takes a lot of confidence for them to jump into wanting to do it full time, even though I think that most people could. So is there anything you could give them in regards to what that looks like in being confident in yourself, or maybe how they get to, maybe they're just doing it a little bit as a hobby but they want to like take it to the next level?
well, I think you have to really know yourself well. It all comes down to it's not as much as how technically good you are, but basically why do you want to paint? And where, if you don't want to paint, where else do you want to spend your time?
Right.
I mean, to me, time is the most valuable commodity, and what you do with it, if you use it wisely, it'll bring you joy. If you don't, it's gonna bring you misery, I think.
Right.
And so I've always asked that question a lot, and because there are times where, yeah, I have really doubted myself, or it's not as good, And I don't really look, I'm not the type I look back like, wow, I did these amount of works and this. I always approach each day like I'm a clean slate. I don't really quite remember when I'm working on a paint. I don't really quite remember, like, okay, whatever I've done in the past really doesn't matter so much as what's happening right now. And I've always kind of lived my life like that. What's happening right now, and what can I do right now to start? Even if it's just 5 minutes, at least it's better than nothing.
Right.
And so that trying to take control of your time is always and still is the hardest part, I think. And trying to use your time wisely. And what do you want to learn? Like, how do you want to progress each day?
Right.
Like even set like maybe 1 or 2 goals. Make it kind of. I'm trying to simplify everything. Keep it simple.
Right.
And I guess over time, yes, it'll naturally bring you confidence and really help and certainly your skills should improve if you keep doing it. And so that's kind of a natural thing. I mean, I don't need anyone like saying rah rah rah, you can do it, like you're so good. I mean, I'm so used to having people. This is from my experience outdoors, everyone's saying, oh, so beautiful, this is so nice and everything. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's so beautiful, then how come you don't want to buy it?
Right.
It's like I think like a business person a lot more than I used to.
Right.
And I mean, I personally, yes, it's great that people love it, but it matters to me, like, do I think it's really beautiful enough that do I want to sell this? Does it meet up to my standards?
Right.
And I hope, like, okay, whatever I paint, maybe somebody will connect with it and want to own it.
Right. It's kind of like maybe like every painting, you kind of like see how you can push yourself a little further each time.
Yes. You alone, no matter, there's nothing outside of you can really push you. It's really up to you. And even though that it's great to be part of groups and art, with around friends and everything. And but ultimately, it's really up to you. Like, because really, you're the captain of your ship. You got to drive this thing somewhere.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And if you want to learn more, then obviously you can learn from other artists. You can ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
And go to museums, read books, take classes. I mean, there's lots of things you can do to try to advance. It's just that it's up to you. I mean, you got to keep. It's almost like you have to have a conversation with yourself quite a bit. What do you want to learn today? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go with this? Do you want to be a better portrait painter, a better landscape painter? Like, what do you want to learn? And then break it down. What do you want to learn today? Stuff like that. That's just, I'm just shooting off the top of my head.
Right.
This is the way that I kind of operate. So.
That's awesome. So, I always get the question, or I always see the question too. Have you ever taken any art degree? Do you have any art degrees, or are you self-taught?
Oh, well, I have art degrees, but I'm also self-taught because I did art before I did the art degrees, and I certainly it's been many years since I graduated, so I know that like for years I've been kind of stuck and maybe it's not progressed, but then there were points in my life where suddenly I definitely took my art to the next level. It's a matter of progression. So I do have an art degree, associates and a bachelor's degree in art. I also have a graphic design degree.
Okay.
And as well. And
so do you think that those classes, do you think that those actually helped you along your way, or do you feel like it just kind of like went hand in hand with what you do?
I think when I first entered college that I was actually switching majors, and it was until like maybe my fourth major where I got to art. I took a drawing class in the summer, and I found out, well, I have something here, and I met this art teacher, an artist. His name was Mel Lipsig, and so he encouraged me, and he was really nice. And I was like, whatever reason, like I decided to switch to art, and I did. That's when I really started doing well in college, and I just felt like I found my thing, and I was really practicing. And when I look back at it, I kind of cringe. I'm like, wow, did I paint that? But at the time I was only like 19 or something. I mean, I felt like, okay, it's looking pretty good. I think my drawing was probably more. I was more impressed with my drawing than my painting at the time because.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was very comfortable with the drawing part of it, and so that was very fun. And so yeah, I
So
enjoyed it.
when did you transition then to from drawing to painting, or did you just kind of bring them together? Because I know a lot of artists that kind of do it freehand, or they actually like draw out their paintings or their portraits and then paint. So is that something that you do, or?
Well, I did simultaneously,
Okay.
and as for like being taught, I think Mel. I was bringing up my teacher with Mel, and
Yeah.
he really taught me how to use a simplified palette that applies to today. Even like I've always used a limited palette, since the beginning.
Okay.
And that's one thing that I've learned. And I remember the colors that he did. I just remember his enthusiasm, and really passionate about what he was doing. And what he's doing is far different than what I was doing. When it comes to actually painting, and when people see my work, they say that, oh, it reminds me of Monet or Van Gogh a little bit. And yes, I do love Impressionism, but that's not the only thing because I've developed other interests over the years too. I mean, I see abstraction or realism in my work, and I lived in Asia, and it's constantly evolving. The last thing I want to do is pigeonhole myself, saying
Right.
I'm a realist artist, I'm an impressionist artist. I kind of take a lot of things and try to make it your own. I'm not really fond of copying so much, unless it's for technical reasons. But
right.
for the most part, I really, I love all the artwork, but I never say that, okay, this is going to look just like Monet, or this is going to look just like this. No, I really don't do that. I just feel like whatever you've learned over the past years, I mean, that's just, and not really think about it too much, actually, then
Right.
it'll appear naturally. I guess I have that faith that it will work out.
Okay. Yeah.
So I keep
And
doing it.
I have looked at a couple of your paintings that you sent me. The little girl, the little Asian girl, was beautiful.
Oh, yes.
That's a beautiful.
Oh, well, that's a great
Everybody
example.
will be able to see that in the newsletter. I'm going to share that with everybody so they can see that. But that's a beautiful painting.
Thank you.
I'm sure it had a story.
Yeah, oh yes, it's absolutely one of my best paintings, and so and I couldn't have done it if I didn't go to China, and
Right.
Yeah, because I was in Taiwan. Actually, it was Chinese New Year, and I had a few weeks off from school, and I had an opportunity to volunteer and teach art in China.
Oh wow!
And, yeah, and so they pretty much paid for my expenses, and I just went there, and it was the middle of winter too, by the way, and it was not that. It was pretty cool. And what our goal was we went to this little high school in the middle of nowhere, rural village, like talk about hundreds of kilometers away from Shanghai. I mean, this is a place where no foreigners really visit, to say the least. I mean,
okay.
And luckily I went with, like other volunteers some were Chinese students,
right.
teenagers or early 20s. So they were
show you the way, right?
Pretty much show the way. So I didn't go alone. So once I got there, we met up and went there. And I was basically responsible to help build a mural. And
wow.
So we built, and not just me making it. I helped design the idea, but had the kids help me make the mural.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so with their translation, and not just that, with art classes too. So we were in this very little village, and I got a lot of stares me walking around town with them, but that was okay.
Right.
I mean, seriously, maybe it was the first time they saw a foreigner in person. I don't know, but it was quite something. It was as authentic as it can get.
Yeah.
And yes, and actually, when I was there, I got sick. I got very sick. I literally lost my voice for like half the trip.
Wow.
I was not in good shape, but however, I had the students, like my volunteers, help me out, and we still did the mural, and even you see pictures of me like with the mural, but I was very sick in that, but you couldn't tell. I was just it was just I was trying to, but during that duration, that's when I met some of the villagers, like people reside in the town, and including that Chinese baby. She's like a big baby, 18 months old.
Yeah,
and
she's beautiful. It's just what I would imagine that child just hanging out there.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, like, she was living with her grandmother. She had a tragic background already. She had siblings who were not good to her. And but she was, to me, I kind of, sometimes right away, this is going to be a great painting,
Right.
and even though I've never painted a portrait like this before, and I just, yeah, so I got back to Taiwan, a couple months later, I painted that, and I was studying under a Taiwanese artist.
Okay.
So actually, that was the last time I was influenced by his work. And he really helped me with the quality of my portraits getting to the next level.
Okay.
And during that time, I also did a Japanese portrait as well. But the Chinese baby, that's one that seems like it's more oohs and ahs kind of thing. So
did you take a picture of that, or was it just from
yes,
your?
I took a picture. I had to paint from the picture because there's so many details.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could imagine if I try to do it again, it probably will turn out a little bit different, but at the time, it definitely gave me ideas like, what, I could actually possibly, do portraits too if I could, if I could convince myself, because I was not very confident in my portrait ability, just more like my landscape ability. But now I feel like my portraits are like this, maybe even a little more than my landscapes. I just something about portraits I've always loved, with maybe it's the eyes or something, but I've always loved, how people did portraits, and I knew some portrait painters, and I was always in awe, like they did commissions and they didn't have to worry about all the other things involved. All they have to do is just, make a great living doing commissions, and that's pretty much it.
And it's such a talent. It's such a talent. All the little details, it's so crazy. So crazy to see those.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
So and I'm hoping that whatever you're passionate about, it'll show in the artwork too.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Definitely. Do you have like I think you said it, but I want to just make sure that some people hear it. Do you have like a niche that you feel like you do really good at with your art? Either drawing, painting.
Painting, niche. Well, I mean, I do love drawing, actually. Funny you said that, because what I experimented with, I started doing quick sketches.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it in Taiwan, and I did okay. They weren't the best quality, but I actually sold some quick sketches there. But then I decided to try it again here, back in Lambertville, and just for the last few months. And sure enough, like, people started sitting for me, and it's turning out better than I thought it was going to be. So I'm actually, sometimes that's all the income I make right now, but I'm only charging very little for each one, but it's only 10, 15 minutes sitting.
Right.
But it's also helping me get better at my craft. So. Right.
Which is where it sounds like you started, was drawing.
Yes. So. Exactly. Okay. It's like, there's no, you can't fake being a good drawer. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Especially when you're doing it on the spot, and I feel like, with all the pressure, because you do have to go fast.
A lot of pressure, right?
It is, and sometimes I hate the idea of trying to go fast, because I know that it's going to affect my quality. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm sure in the long run, once I get it, when I do commissions, hopefully in the near future, and it'll pay dividends, because this will help it. But so people pay me to draw, I'm happy with it. That's
right.
And it's working out with that. So I think my niche, as much as I do love landscapes, but I feel like I'm changing, I'm evolving, and it feels like I'm definitely going towards portraits more and more. Okay. I've done some animal portraits as well, and they turned out really good. Some people bought my animal portrait. Like, I did a dog painting of someone's dog, and without even thinking, okay, they're going to love it, I just painted because I love the dog. And she saw me paint the dog, and she's like, I want to buy it. So I was like, okay, that's great. That's without trying to say, I don't want to sound like a salesperson, because that's not my thing. I'm sort of like, well, this is what I can do, and and I'll be honored if I paint something that you love. I painted horses, and they came out great too. And I've ridden a horse a few times. I love horses, but I'm not familiar with animals as much as other people are. But for some reason, I guess it comes out, maybe it does look like that. I've been
Yeah,
around for
it
forever.
does. Yeah, and even again, I shared that picture. That's funny. I shared that the horse picture that you sent me as well. We'll be sharing that on the newsletter, and I
Okay,
that just
great.
that came right out to me. It's beautiful. So
Right.
that's and it sounds like it's just you're getting to where where you first started, and now you're back at where you first started, and you're starting to see that you've grown within yourself. And me personally, I do landscapes. I love landscapes. My husband always makes fun of me because that's all I do, but
Yeah.
it just and that's kind of how it goes with me too. Like, but question for you, like, how do you come up with what you're going to do next, I guess? Because like sometimes for me, I get stuck, so like I just won't paint for like weeks. Like I
Oh
probably
no.
haven't painted in the last couple weeks. And of course I'm not a professional artist, so but it is something that I do feel like when I'm not doing it, when it's
Hmm.
been a while, it's like my soul just like is like, okay, Chandra, you need to get into this here soon. And then then I'm fine. But how do you start? How do you know what your next thing is that you're going to work
Well, I this is one of my habits I'm trying to get better at is planning more ahead of time.
on?
You
Okay.
know, like I'm starting to get a folder full of images, like well, on my desktop or on my laptop,
Okay.
and just to kind of get some ideas going. To see, because even sometimes up to the day, I really sometimes I'm like, what am I going to paint today? And I go outdoors, and then maybe it'll come to me as when I'm at the easel.
Okay.
So sometimes I wing it. Sometimes I plan ahead of time. Um, more and more though, that when I'm outdoors, I like to paint something. Have something planned out, because I'm usually have maybe two or three spots, and you can only paint like the canal or towpath so many times before you.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. I got to mix it up a little bit, because last thing I don't want to do is get bored.
Right.
Even though there's a lot of ways to paint a particular subject, I like to diversify and just trying to challenge myself doing something different.
Right.
And plus, it's hard to paint portraits on an 8x10 panel. If I want to paint portraits and I want to do it larger, I need to take my time with this. I don't want to feel like I'm rushing with it.
Right.
And so I do have some other ideas that I want to eventually do. I mean, like I said, if somebody wanted me to do like a portrait of their kid or their family, I'll do this at home, for example. I won't do it out there. I need privacy, and
Right.
I'll do it in my own place. But if I'm gonna do something like that, I know that it's gonna be more whimsical, more fun, and more loose, then I'll do it out there.
Okay.
Because I know it's a lot harder to concentrate when I'm out there. I'm constantly talking with people, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe interrupting to do like a portrait sketch or something, which is fine. It's just that for deeper concentration, if I have a serious project, then I'll do it at home. So
Okay.
I'm starting to be more I won't say picky about like what I'm going to be painting out there. I have to I gotta be. It's hard to word it sometimes. It's
Yeah.
I'm
You kind
starting
of
to
like
get more
you have
sophisticated.
to right.
Yeah, with my decision making. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta so because last thing I want to do is sort of like bite off more than I can chew.
Right. Right.
And which does happen sometimes, but also at the same time I notice that when I'm not quote rushing it, then my painting does get better. And
Okay.
so
Which makes
I'm
sense.
I'm
But
starting to,
sometimes, but yeah, but then there are artists that there's a local artist that he does like the speed portraits, but he's painting, I think. And he does really, I mean, it's crazy how quick he can do that. I mean, I'm sure like for you, how quick you can do that. And I'm sure they look a lot better than you even think. So like from
yes,
me
absolutely.
to somebody else. So,
Mm.
um, so I'm gonna kind of ask you a couple questions here in regards to business for artists.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so I have my thoughts on art events, like art markets, or for here, I think they're called just like exhibits or something like out on the streets, art fairs, I guess. Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
They call
yeah,
them
yeah.
everything, everywhere.
They're everything.
Have you
Yes.
ever done them, and do you think that they are profitable or not?
Well, personally for me, and I've done art fairs in New Mexico because when I had a car, before I went to Asia, I had a car,
Okay.
and I used to do the art market circuit, and used to, especially in Santa Fe, and then I did it around different states, and yeah, I was lucky to break even, and it wasn't very profitable. Um, Come to think of it, I mean, maybe looking back, maybe partially it was kind of foolish, perhaps, to, just the thought of like, okay, spend 300-400 on a show and trying to make up for that, and just to break even. Let alone, there's other expenses and everything, and yeah, for the most part, I would shy away from that. I mean, unless you go to art show, that the fees are very minimal,
Okay.
And actually last year I did something very cool for the first time. I went to this plein air art festival
Okay. Yep.
in Ireland.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd never been in one before, and I ended up selling one painting, and another one nearly got an award.
Wow.
It was on the judges. This is my first time there, so I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is great." I actually got their attention. That's kind of cool.
And I think that helps because
Yeah.
I've done some art fairs in regards to like our physical products, my paintbrushes, and
Right.
me just sitting back watching watching artists and stuff. For me, I'm a business person, so automatically, I'm thinking, these artists are just sitting here, they're not doing anything, nobody can see. So I mean, it makes sense that you probably did better at the plain art than the regular art fair because everybody's just kind of sitting around. But I did one art fair that we were at. There was one artist that he was out there. He was painting. People were watching him, and he was doing pretty well. And we had a old friend that did the same thing. And I feel like the art fairs kind of make us introverts maybe because we're just sitting there watching people look at our stuff and not really.
It's pretty awkward. Yeah, you're right.
Really awkward. So that's great. So I was just wondering, do you feel, so you did feel that the Plain Art Festival was a lot better, right, than probably just a regular art fair?
Yeah, I mean, if you have to say certain things you shouldn't do again, or I don't want to do again, is probably those major art fairs that, unless you're invited or something, but you know what? I mean, I'd rather either do the plain art fair or, obviously if I'm involved in portraits, I wouldn't mind getting involved in, say, like, a national society like Oil Painters of America, or like some portrait, event involved with them. Something on a big scale, or even like a biennial or something somewhere, like, or something really huge. But as for like doing the art show circuit, it's just not worth it to me to do that. I feel better, like I have my easel out, what I'm doing right now. I have my easel out there, and I use that as my just art studio, but I also use it as like my art booth. I have a lot of little paintings there. Sometimes I bring my frame work around, and I have my big portrait sign. So I kind of double it up as an art booth as well. It's something that I've never really seen artists do around where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, I think only
you gotta switch it up, right? You gotta switch
absolutely.
it up,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
an artist. You have to be creative. You gotta get up. You gotta talk to people. You gotta come up with little cool ideas. You gotta, that's
well. This is the control I like, and the best part is that I don't get charged for anything because it's a public area. And so I'm always out there. I actually put my easel, it's like on a little stump. It's a real stump, and so I call my studio, I'm going to the stump. I tell people I'm at the stump. That's pretty much my spot. For the past year, that's for the most part. That's where I am. I'm right there, and like it's amazing that I live in Artstown. There's very few other artists who I see out there. And like everyone's hidden away in the studio, and I'm like, how could people, they find you? At least when I'm out there, I'm in a crowded area, and it's near a restaurant street, and it's a touristy area. It's a great location, and so I don't have to worry about like, okay, I could break even if I don't sell anything. But if I sell something, then I've made a profit.
Right.
And
And you're out there and people are seeing you, and you're not just a business card. You're here, I'm here, and maybe that person that's looking to get something done for their house or their business, they see you and they say, wow, he's
right. And definitely. And I'm out there just, I'm painting as well. So I have no idea how many people have overlooked what I'm doing or something. But I mean,
it kind of gets you out of your head too. It gets you out of your head of thinking, about, if some people are a little bit, perfectionists, or also get your confidence up being out there too, and I'm sure that helps a lot.
Oh, totally. Totally. I mean, it's that because it's made me aware of like presentation, like how can I present my work better since I'm out there a lot. It's not just I'm at a weekend art show once a month or or somewhere else. I mean, I'm pretty much right in my hometown here, and I'm out there, and wheeling everything on a dolly, bringing it out there. And instead, with these big art shows, it took me like an hour and a half to set up with the tents, with the walls. It was a big production. It exhausted me.
Yes.
And this was like this was like almost 10 years ago. So I can imagine, God, I don't know. Physically, I don't know if I could put up with it now. Like, I mean, it's just back then it was tiring, and I was like, so I can't imagine doing that again. I'd rather bring my easel out and have a fefew paintings and paint, and people come to me, because people love to come and watch over artists' shoulders, and they see what they're doing, and then that's how I meet people. It's just like an art show, except you got your own easel, and and by the way, I didn't learn this out of the blue. Actually, I learned this from a friend who told me, go to Positano, Italy. Like, there's Positano painters who paint on the beach and sell their work. And actually, that's what I did. I visited Italy a few times. I even been to Positano, and I was even there with my easel. Unfortunately, I didn't sell it. Yeah, I didn't sell any work, but at least I was out there and I tried.
Right, and you probably seen so much that it just, I'm sure, just kind of changes your creativity, and the things that you see that other artists are doing, I'm sure, helped you incorporate that.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know if you'd call it competing, but I mean, the painters out there were, on the older side, and they've probably been out there for 20, 30, 40 years, who knows how long. I mean, they people know them, and I guess I probably looked like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, they didn't notice me, or maybe they were afraid to talk with me, or a couple of them, they thought that I was Italian, because I think, kind of fit in a little bit, but, I don't stick out as much as if I was in Asia, but in Italy, some people thought I was Italian, painting out there. And, last winter I was in Siena, and I painted there for a couple months, and, I was out in the square. I didn't really sell any paintings, but I wish I had the hindsight to do quick drawing. Maybe I would have done better with that. But I was out there quite a bit painting Italy, and when I got back, I had an art show at a bank. I had about, a bunch of paintings that I brought back from Italy, and it was an art show. And so, that's pretty much what I did. And
that's amazing. So what do you, I know that there's like, let's see here. So what's your advice to some artists in regards to what can they do? And I hear this question all the time, I'm sure you do too. What can they do in regards to making money? Is it getting in front of people? Is it websites? What do you think? What would be the one thing that you would tell them if they wanted to take it a little bit, take it to the next level?
Well, you gotta make sure your art is seen by any means necessary. Like social media is an easy place to start.
Right.
Because I've had people interested in buying my work through Facebook, for example.
Okay.
But obviously, it's always more important if you can have it in person. They can see it in person. That's even better. You want to start small. Well, start in your hometown. And see what you can do. Get involved and paint outdoors, or find a way to get exhibited. To show your work. Get something on the walls somewhere.
Okay.
Try to. I still have a bunch of paintings I have like that are like in my shed that I have but I also have a lot of paintings. Like, I'm represented by this one gallery, in New Hope, right across the river from me.
Okay.
And but other than that, like, I have my work out there, and
Just kind of
so
just show up.
yeah, I'm
Just
just showing up in person. That's the thing that I keep doing. There's nothing that beats, like I would say, like, as I look at it, I compare music and art a lot. I'm like, I always loved, like, the live performers who can really, there's something about seeing it live and rather than seeing it on a video. It just makes it extra special.
It does.
And I kind of feel myself like I am a bit of a performer at heart. I always thought about, I'm always in awe when I see people play on stage, and I feel like, well, this is my stage, painting, whether I like it or not, this is my stage and I'm a performer, and I have to, put on a good show a little bit, and it's a good thing. I enjoy that. I don't, there are times where, yeah, I'm in moods like, don't bother me, I'm working, kind of thing. But or some people make a crass comment and or something, and I'm like, just say, yeah, whatever, whatever. So it's
right.
It depends. You got to pick and choose who you want to talk with or not. Just be nice and polite. Be polite. Like, okay, it's but so most important.
So do you think that that would be? Do you think that that's like a? Would that be a struggle? You feel like that would be a struggle for some artists to do? And how would they overcome that, just from your experience?
Well, it's always a struggle when you're out there, like, because you're always like, it's not so natural when you're out painting in front of people. It's art is a very solitary thing, and it's I will always prefer to paint myself and then reveal it, like, when I'm done. Ta-da! Look what I did, But I feel like, part of your gift is, like, sharing it with people. It doesn't mean much until you share it. And whether it's I'm outdoors, that's one venue that I enjoy more and more. I didn't really even paint that much outside when I was in Taiwan. I was there for almost 5 years. I've painted in different venues, but I really never did painting outside like I did when I got back here.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I don't know if it's the courage or not. I mean, I did paint outside, but not like I set up in a crowded area and, have people, not anticipated, like, okay, I'm going to sell work. And, I didn't have the setup like I did now. Like, so I'm definitely put myself out there more. And even though I am very introverted, actually, it doesn't seem like it. But I mean, I have my moments.
I think we all are, right? I think we all are. No matter, like, I know that I never knew that I was until, like, I started being at home a lot more. And yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. It's definitely a struggle sometimes for people.
Right. Definitely. And whether you're doing it and whether it comes out good or not, at least you're out there doing it, At least you can tell yourself, at least you're showing up.
Right.
And this is, this is my job, this is my work, and, this is my passion too. And so I always say this is my office. I treat it as so. I own the space. This is my space for a short amount of time. And to take accountability for what you do. This is what I want to project to people. This is this is what I want to do. This is being nice. You can't help. You are the brand. This is whatever your personality, whatever you're talking to people. This is all has to do with the brand. What you're doing. This is how what people will remember you by.
Exactly.
And certainly
and that's one thing that, like, I try to tell people too, like, and I think that's the difference between when you go from I'm an artist, I'm doing this, and then to I'm going to sell my art, and this is and then you take it to that next level of this is my business, this is who I am, this is people don't understand sometimes that's part of it. Like that is part of it. You are the brand, and what you do and how you act is the way that it's going to be. That's the way people look at you, and you have to play the part. No matter you don't want to. Of course, we don't want to. Most of us are, but if your next step and your next goal is to um, make money to take care of yourself or your family, you have to push yourself a little harder.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, this is the life that you chose, or maybe chose you. I don't know. It depends.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
it's a paradox because yeah, sometimes yeah, I'm if people saw me, they how they stereotypically think of artists. I'm not that. I don't fit in that stereotype. Pretty much. I mean, they think, okay, we got to all have tattoos, colorful hairs. I do have a tattoo, but just one on my leg. But that's it. That's it. That's it. I don't have. I mean, I'm trying not to look like, let's say, Elton John with the paintbrush.
Right.
No,
Right.
the point is that, like, there are times where I feel like, I wonder if I should dress up flashier or something, or have some kind of, interesting kind of look, or I don't know. I'm just saying, I already have an interesting look.
Yeah. You're you.
There's not.
Right.
You're you. I mean, you can't help it. Everyone has something unique about it. You just got to kind of pull it out of yourself.
Got to pull it out.
Exactly. And try not to, look like, okay, you just want to, look crazy to grab attention. Like, I don't know, like, I personally wouldn't dress like a drag queen just to try to get attention.
Right.
I'm just saying that maybe on Halloween I will, but not right now. Just when I'm out there, I'm only focused on trying to get this painting done. Whatever happens, happens. And let chips fall where they may. It's and if people are very interested in purchasing and painting, well, that's awesome. I connected them with in a way that's great. Because
right. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, actually last night it happened, which was awesome. Totally unexpected. I was just out for a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, and it just unexpectedly, a woman came up to me and she's like, hey, I have some empty canvases. You want some? I said, sure. I'm like, and then she's like looking through my work and she's like, oh, I love this painting. Oh, I like this painting. I'm like, how much is this? And I said, okay, this is this. And okay. And she's like, oh, I'd love to buy it, but first I have to go to, I have to get some money. How long will you be here? 20 minutes or so. So even at that point in my mind, I'm like, she may not come back. I don't know,
right.
but at least I got some canvases. No,
right.
she brought some canvases. So I just keep working my, So and then sure enough, she did come back and she gave me money and she bought. So that was like pretty great. And she lives in town and she's seen me paint. Yeah, I guess she could see me from her apartment actually.
Oh, wow.
So imagine that, like, and I wasn't sure if, usually I come during the day, but I started experimenting. I said, I'm going to come around, later in the day because it's very hot where I was at. Yeah. And there's a football game on. So I came in after the football game. And so it was around 5 o'clock, and I had to kind of, paint just a couple hours because it was starting to sunset, but I wanted to paint during the sunset, because I'm practicing with light. So that, to me, that was a good time. At least I was trying to be productive, show up, and sure enough, I saw a little painting during that short window, and so I was like, really cool.
So you hear that, guys? You have to get out. You have to leave your home sometimes.
Yes.
Because if you wouldn't have, she wouldn't have seen you from her apartment. She would, that's awesome. That's a great story. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. It's just, but it's the truth because it's like, my God, it's like it happened less than 24 hours ago. And and you just never know. And even today, so I had something on eBay, and someone bought a painting on eBay. And someone who actually I know. Actually, I was like wondering who is it? Is someone from Minnesota? Someone from someone from New Hope. I know her. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I put a starting bid, not too low, but I was like, oh, she got a good deal off it, and I'm like, okay, I know that she'll appreciate this because I know it's rare that I know her. She bought a painting of mine, so it's like, man, this is good. It's like, the point is that I'm always every day doing something productive. Sometimes I spend more time marketing than painting. Sometimes I spend time more painting than marketing. I don't know if I should consciously say I'll spend 3 hours painting and 3 hours marketing. I don't know. That seems a little constricting right now, but the point is, as long as I'm doing something that needs to be done each day that's productive, I'm happy with that.
So when you say marketing, what exactly does that look like for you? What is marketing for Joshua?
Well, like even this morning, when even before I was teaching classes, I was, displaying some new work on Facebook.
Okay.
Last night I put a couple new pieces on eBay,
Okay.
and so
And I did
there's
see, do you have a blog on your website as well that you
yes,
kind of run?
yeah, yes, I do. I
Okay.
have to update a blog. That's another thing I'm behind. I have to. That's I don't. There's certain things you got to do consistently, and when
Right.
it comes to blogging, sometimes it's hard. It's like because I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do?
Right.
Yeah, I'm starting to make more videos. I'm trying to combine it, trying to make it interesting because
Mhm.
sometimes I do get bored of like I don't like to talk about myself a lot,
Right.
and I'm sort of like, well, then again, I'm kind of okay, I did this painting, then I can kind of tell a story about it. That's a different approach that I'm trying to do.
Right.
I like to be a master storyteller. I really like to really get better at that craft too, just because I feel like that's something that keeps my interest. I love a good story, and so do
Right.
other people,
Right.
and
Especially a story behind a painting that you have done. That
exactly.
that's what draws people into that instead of just throwing it out there and okay, you know. And that's what I try to tell people in our group too. Like, okay, guys, like, what's the story behind this? You got to give us something else. What are you doing? Like,
Right. And I say, don't talk about yourself unless
right.
somebody asks you to, because then you'll come across as a narcissist, and then you don't want. And like, even though, yeah, there's always a little part. I'm not going to deny that,
Of course.
because that's part of our profession. We all want to get recognized,
Mm-hmm.
especially artists, like, because that's part of our livelihood. We have to put ourselves out there. The thing that sometimes that blocks you is that you feel like maybe I'm promoting myself too much, or maybe, these little voices in your head. You're like,
Right.
maybe I shouldn't go. I don't want to seem like I'm going overboard. But then again, who else is going to promote you as much as you are?
Right.
I think
Nobody else.
you have to get over yourself like that. You say, okay, just not saying that you got to post something 10 times a day, but
Right.
you just got to at least once or twice a day, just post something up. Hey, this is what I'm doing,
Right.
and have a little story, and that's pretty much it. You don't have to hard sell. Now this painting, like, buy this now. Come on, like,
Right.
this is.
Right.
But of course, you can mention, yeah, this is for sale. This is available. This is what I'm up to, and
So do
yeah,
you find that like people, and this is pretty much like this is like the last question, and we'll kind of like finish this up. But do you
sure.
find that I heard you say you have Facebook page and you do eBay, and do you do Etsy as well?
No, I don't do
No.
Etsy.
Okay.
I did in the past, but no, I try to focus on a few things, and that's it.
Okay. And then you have your website, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
do you find out of the three of those, one is better than the other, or do you feel like what do you think?
Well, for now, for now, Facebook is the, my main one. I think if I have
Okay.
to pick one, eventually I would like to get YouTube. I'm trying to learn the possibilities of
It's a big
these
thing.
video. I
Mhm.
love it, and I just came up with like, if you sign up for my newsletter, you get access. You can get a free mini course,
Oh, nice.
and it took me a month to design that. That was a big project, and so I have a free mini course, basically just mixing colors, learning
Okay.
about little about colors,
So what did
because
you do that mini course on? Was there a
I did
program?
yeah, I did it on Teachable, and
Okay.
I use all my videos, but I also on another platform called Thinkific,
Okay.
because that's unlimited amount of people who can sign up for the mini course, and
Okay.
so I'm that's going to be my main platform right there. And it seems like, okay, it's not limited to, like, how many people, because I'm kind of on a free plan right now.
Hmm.
Maybe instead of paying like 39.49 a month, this is a good thing. And most likely you have to promote this too. This is part of, people want to sign up for your subscriber list. You got to give them something in exchange. And
Right.
some people do a PDF or a book or whatever. And I wanted to try something like a mini course, so something like because this is, to me, I'm a teacher at heart as well. And so this kind of matches what I like to do. And so I think
That's
this
awesome.
this is a pretty cool free gift. And, just, no strings attached, just, you're part of the mailing list. That's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
And I'm designing a full blast course, a full paid course on, painting your own sunset. So this is going to take
awesome.
me the next couple months. Yeah, thanks.
I love sunsets. That's like one of my favorite things to paint. Like I love it. I love it.
Oh, definitely.
You'll have to send me the link when you get that finished.
I will for sure. Yes. So I'm kind of like telling people ahead of time, like, and when they see this course, like I'm currently working on a full blast course. If you like this mini course, maybe, you'll like this big course, because, this course is very interactive. It's not just about, videos and, watching you paint or something. It's actually forcing you to be outdoors. You're going outdoors to paint live, that's going to be the final exam, to paint outdoors live. And not only that, I'm going to try to do like a webinar. I'm going to have my own Facebook private group. I want to, get more interactive, and with it, and hopefully
different avenues.
Yes.
Thinking outside of the box is where people are going to find success. That's where you're finding success already. I have there's also, hopefully I'll have him on sometime too. I have an artist that I work with from Australia, and that's what he does. Those are his videos. Sometimes you'll see him in his studio, but most of the time you're seeing him out in the outback painting. He's painting in vineyards. He's painting everywhere, and that's where he's finding his success. So it sounds like you're on the right track. You're on the right track, Joshua. And I hope that if anybody here listening wants to check out your work, where can they find it?
JoshuaLance.com.
Okay.
So you'll see the connection to subscribing, and if you want, because once you subscribe, then you can get the mini course. So that's where my blog is, my work is, and so that's where pretty much everything is. And then I'm also on Facebook as well, and YouTube. And,
okay.
But you can access those through my website too.
Wonderful. And I'll have those in the newsletter too for everybody to see. And thank you again, Joshua. And
my pleasure, Chandra. Thank you.
And it was fun. It was awesome hearing from you. And I'll just we'll touch base with you, and maybe sometime down the road we'll be hearing from you again and see where you're at. Okay.
Sounds great. Looking forward to that too. So.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful day, and as always, everybody, happy creating, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right. No problem. Have a great day, Chandra. Bye-bye.
Bye now.